Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining. We'll begin in a few seconds, just giving some other viewers some time to just join up. I hope you guys enjoy the session this evening. We've got an interesting session about making decisions in the workplace, which will be very beneficial within the working environment. Okay, so let's get going. If you guys are experiencing any audio problems, please let me know. If you guys can just give me a thumbs up, let me know if you can see me and hear me okay. That'll be great. And if you lose me during the webinar session, just if anyone can just drop me a chat and we'll try and fix it. Okay, great. Thanks so much, Ivona. Thank you so much for joining again. Then if you have any questions, please feel free to chat them through. There is going to be a very interactive part of this webinar session, so please feel free to join in. It's going to be a very interesting interactive session that we're going to have tonight. Then I want you guys to try and have fun. I know it's not just about learning. If you learn through fun, you tend to remember things a little bit better. Okay, so for those who haven't met me, I'm teacher Rudel from South Africa. And today, like I said, we're going to talk about making decisions. So why is making decisions such an important topic? Well, consciously and subconsciously, we make hundreds, if not thousands of decisions every day in our head. Every moment of doing something. Am I going to do this? Am I going to take that with me within the working environment? We make decisions constantly about, should we go ahead with this? Should we put it on hold? Should I send that email? Even in discussions, when you're in discussions, making decisions, making choices, we're constantly making decisions. So it's quite important for us to learn some vocabulary, learn some phrases that we can use when we're making decisions. This is a business intermediate webinar session, and again, it will take about 30 minutes with our Q&A session in the end, and then our quick two polls that we're going to have. If you guys can just take the extra 10 seconds or 20 seconds to answer the polls at the end, just to help us improve our sessions. So let's have a look at today's session. So here are 4 statements. And I want you to look at the statements. I'm going to read the statements to you. And I want you to tell me which of these statements can you relate with. So just give me a number, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Which of these statements speaks to you? Which of these statements sort of represents you when it comes to making decisions? Right, so the first one. I take a long time to make a decision. I always consider all possible outcomes. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, I make decisions on the spot. I know some people think I rush making decisions, but I think this is more efficient. Okay. Number 3, I usually choose between 2 options, and I'm confident that both decisions will have good results. Okay, if you're number 3. And the last one, number 4, I always ask other people before making decisions. I like to hear different opinions before I make the final decision. So which one would you say do you relate to? Which of these 4 characteristics or decision-making personalities suits you the best? I'll give you guys a few seconds to quickly answer. I think I would say I'm probably in between 1 and 2. So I like to make decisions on the spot, but I also like to have some information or have some clear understanding or some options before I make a decision. But I don't think too long before making a decision. So let's see. Which of these statements do you guys relate with? You can just put the number 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay, while you guys are putting through your answers, let's have a look at some collocations when it comes to making decisions or having discussions around making decisions. Okay, so here's one. Put forward an idea. So this is quite a nice collocation. For example, we could say, putting forward different ideas during meetings is really important for a successful team. So put forward an idea is when you basically sitting in a meeting, and you would like to raise your opinion, your idea. So you put forward your idea. Make up your mind. I'm sure you've probably heard this a lot on television or in movies or in books. A sample sentence you could use is, a manager who can't make up their mind is the worst kind of manager. In other words, a person who can't come to a conclusion, a person who can't make a decision, is probably the worst kind of manager you could have. Often managers are responsible for making the final decisions or making quite a lot of decisions, even for their team members. So make up your mind is a good collocation to use. Reach a conclusion. So, for example, we could say, people usually reach a conclusion after they've heard lots of different suggestions. So when you reach a conclusion, it's generally when you've taken some time to take in all the options. So you've heard some information from maybe some of your colleagues, you've done your own research, you've taken some time to think about where your opinion lies, what decision you want to make, and then you finally reach a conclusion. So that is how you would use this type of collocation. Express an idea. So it is good to express your ideas when you have doubts about a task or project. Or it's good to express an idea when you're sitting in a brainstorming meeting. So it's expressing what you're thinking, your idea, your input. And generally this is done within a group environment. Considering different options. So considering different options can cause more trouble than good. So what does this mean? So often when a person has to make a decision, especially when you've got a short time period that you have to make the decision for, when you consider too many options, it often confuses or waters down the decision-making process. Often I would find if I had a project, um, I would always speak with the client and say to the client, I would like to have one touch point, one contact reference, instead of having maybe 4 or 5. Because generally what happens, if you have 5 people that each have their opinion, you seem to stagnate. So if you consider too many opinions, if you consider too many different opinions, you can't come to a conclusion, you can't come to a decision. So here's some questions I want you guys to have a look at. These are using our collocations that we just had a look at now. And I want you just to type yes or no with these following questions. So, do you find it difficult to make up your mind at work? So in general, do you find it difficult to come to a decision, to make up your mind at work? And don't be shy, no one's going to judge you guys, so please feel free. Would you say yes, you find it difficult, or no, it's quite easy for you to make up your mind? I would say at work, it depends on what the question might be or what the situation might be for me. But I don't think I find it too difficult to come to a decision or to make up my mind at work. What would you guys say? Yes or no? Okay, while your answers are coming through, Ivona, okay, you say you find it difficult. I think, like I said, it often depends on the situation or the reason for making the decision. Some people have very difficult choices they've got to make at work. Okay, thanks so much. Let's look at the next question. Do you usually express your ideas when you have problems at work? So when you're having difficulty at work, do you express your concerns or do you express your ideas? And I'll actually replace the word ideas rather with concerns. Okay, so I would say I don't often express my concerns. Sometimes I do. If I feel that it's going to be to the detriment of a project, I definitely, very diplomatically, raise my concerns. Okay, good to know, Ivona and Dorota. Okay, so I'm glad you guys express your ideas or express your concerns. Okay, let's look at the next one. Do you think it's important to consider different opinions before making a decision? So is it good to get other people's opinions before you make up your mind or come to a conclusion? So I think it also depends on where the opinions come from. So obviously it needs to be relevant. Okay, so we've got a yes. Ivona says sometimes. Rota, I think, yeah, it's important. I agree. But I think it's also important where it comes from. If it's someone that is quite, if you need someone that, let's give an example. You've got to make a decision on finding a website hosting provider. If you're going to speak to someone that has no technical knowledge, it's often maybe not a good idea to consider their opinion. But if you have a friend that is a genius in the technicalities and hosting, then it's quite important to get other people's opinions as well. Okay, so let's have a look at some phrases we can use. And I want you guys to write some of these down. You don't have to write all of them down or remember all of them, but try and get some of these. These are great phrases to use when you want to give an opinion. So you could say something like, the way I see it, or as far as I'm concerned. You could also say, if you ask me, or in my opinion. And the last two is, I'm fairly confident that, and my point of view on this is that. Okay, so let me give you some examples. You could say, the way I see it, it's important that we focus on looking after the planet. Or, in my opinion, plastics pollution is becoming a big problem. Or, I'm fairly confident that getting other people's opinions is important when making a decision. Okay, so these are ways that we can use these phrases when we want to express our own opinion. If you agree with someone's opinion, so say for example, I said, in my opinion, we should look after endangered animals, for example. If you agree, you could say, I couldn't agree more. Okay, or you could just use the word exactly. That's when you really agree with another person's opinion. So when you're having a conversation and you agree with something someone said, you could say, you're absolutely right, or second that. So So I second that is quite a nice one to use. You don't often hear people using that. What it basically means is one person said or had an opinion, and you, as the second person, you vote for exactly that same opinion. So you're basically voting for what that person is saying. So you could say, I second that. If you disagree with someone, you could use the following phrases. So say we had to have an opinion about plastic pollution, and we say, in my opinion, I don't think plastic pollution is that big of a problem. You could say, I'm not sure I agree with that. Or you could say, I agree to a point, but it's maybe becoming a problem now. Or you could say, if you strongly disagree, you could say, I completely disagree with your opinion. Or the last one, if you really, really disagree and you want to raise your opinion of a strong disagreement, you could say, I strongly disagree. Okay, so these are all phrases we can use when we disagree with someone's opinion. Now, these are different decision-making styles. And I want you guys to have a look at these decision-making styles and then tell me which one of these would you say, which one of these do you think you are? Which of these decision characteristics do you recognize when you read or when you have a look at these four different styles? I'm going to read it to you, and then while I'm reading it, let me know which one of these do you guys think represents you as a person. Okay, so you have a directive style. So speed and efficiency are most important to a directive decision making. They usually make a decision on their own and expect others to act immediately. Focus is on short-term results instead of long-term results. Okay, I'm just going to post the question so that you guys can reply afterwards. Which decision-making style would you say you are? You relate to. Okay, so which decision-making style do you relate to? Okay, so we said directive. Let's look at analytical. Okay, so analytic decision makers consider lots of different perspectives before making a decision. So they look at different options before they make a decision. They want to know facts before they make a decision. So they want to know all the information before they come to their conclusion. Analytic decision making is often slow and time consuming. I think the reason for that is because they have to take in a lot of consideration. They have to take in other people's opinions as well. So would you say, are you an analytic decision maker? Okay, let's look at the next one. Conceptual. The conceptual decision-making style is creativity and risk-taking are key to the decision-making style. So these are people that are fairly creative. They're not scared to take risks. Conceptual decision makers think about the long-term results and will always take risks when making decisions. So this almost sounds like the opposite of an analytical decision maker. Okay, then the last one. Behavioral decision makers want to make sure that the team is working well together. They are democratic and are focused on making sure everyone is happy and there are no issues within the team. Okay, so which decision-making style would you say do you currently follow? Are you a directive, analytical, conceptual, or behavioral decision maker? I'm just going to give you guys a few seconds to quickly, and all you have to do is just type me the decision-making style that you relate to. So you can just type directive, analytic, conceptual, or behavioral. Okay, so Ibona, conceptual. Okay, good. Dorota's analytical. So often we don't agree with our styles. It might be that we have a certain style, but we might not agree with the kind of style that we currently have. Okay, what do you other guys think? Don't be shy. You guys can let me know what kind of a decision-making style would you relate to. And also, I think all of these decision-making styles are important within the workplace. Um, there's not one specific one that is better than another one. I think you almost need all of these kind of decision-making characteristics within the working environment. Okay, so let's look at, we've got some answers through of what your current decision-making style is. So my next question is, if you could choose, which directive or which decision-making style would you like to have? So are you happy with your current decision-making style, or would you like to change it? Is there a new type of style? Do you maybe prefer another type of decision-making style? So which or what decision-making style would you like to have? There's a bit of the delay on the chat, so I'm just going to give you guys a few seconds to chat through your answers, and let's have a look. Like I said, there's no right or wrong answer, so please feel free to send your answers through. So if you're analytical, do you maybe think that sometimes you wish you can be more directive? So quick and efficient, or are you happy with being an analytical decision maker? Okay, Ivana, you're happy with the conceptual. You're not scared for taking risks. I think some people prefer to have a safer option and not take risks. Good, Dorota. I'm happy you are happy with analytical. I think I might also, Ivana, might also be conceptual. With a creative background, I think I probably do a lot of creative decision making. But I maybe have about 10% directive as well. I like to have speed and efficiency. Stanislaw, so are you happy with analytical? Okay, so while you guys are coming through with your answers, just before we summarize what we went through today, I just want to go back to our phrases we can use when we want to express our opinions or our decisions. Okay, Stanislaw, you would like to be directive. So I just want to restart it quickly. Okay, so let's just have a quick last look at our phrases that we learned. Okay, so we spoke about agreeing and disagreeing, and then giving opinions or making our decisions. So when you're busy making a decision or discussing options, again, these are important phrases, and I really want you guys to maybe pick two of these, and when you have the opportunity of talking English within your working environment, try and use these phrases. So I'll give you some examples. The way I see it, it's important for us to come to a decision within this meeting. Or, as far as I'm concerned, you have my vote. Or, if you ask me, I think this is the best option. Or, in my opinion, we should go with his proposal. I'm fairly confident that he would be the best person for the job. Or, my point of view on the project is that we will probably run over time. Okay, so very important phrases. I want you guys to at least pick or write down two and practice them during when you have the opportunity to practice them. Okay, so let's quickly wrap up. What did we learn today? So today we highlighted different decision-making styles that people use. So we spoke about directive, analytical, conceptual, and behavioral. We identified our own decision-making style and learned about what decision-making style we maybe would like to have. Then we also learned our phrases, some nice phrases to have our opinions. If you want to agree or disagree, some nice words and vocabulary we can use there. And then why it's important to be able to make decisions, and why and how we should make these decisions. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to pop them through. Ivona, nice use of having an opinion. I completely disagree. Having a strong opinion. Okay, anyone have questions? Please don't be shy. You can just pop them through and then I'll answer them for you. I'll keep an eye out if any questions comes through before we close the session. Right, then remember to please follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn, and also this video will be available on YouTube. And thank you once again for joining us. If you guys can just take a few seconds of your time to quickly answer our poll again. So how useful was this webinar for you? Did you learn a lot about decision making? Did you identify your own decision making style? Okay, great. Thank you so much, everyone. And then just our last poll. Would you like to take part in similar events in the near future? So did you enjoy a business intermediate webinar session? Did you find some valuable information you could get from this? Okay, great. Thanks so much, everyone. Just want to see if there's any questions. Thank you again for joining us. I look forward to doing our next webinar session, and I hope to see you guys there again. And enjoy the rest of your week. I hope you have a wonderful week further. Keep well. Goodbye.